Good morning, all, and welcome to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. It is Wednesday, October 29, 2025 at approximately 10 a.m. We are back on the record on case 2025-154E, Duke Energy Progress LLC's application for an increase in electric rates, adjustments in electric rate schedules and tariffs, and a request for a counting order. All commissioners are present in the hearing room. Before the last recess on Monday, it was presented to the commission by counsel for the company and confirmed by ORS that an agreement in principle had been reached in this case. We have been presented with stipulations which overlap and together create a global settlement, is my understanding. Part of my job here is to keep the record straight and comprehensible. So we will need to go through those stipulations before hearing settlement testimony. That may take a few minutes, but we want to keep the record straight. First, I would ask the parties to introduce themselves for the record and to please, anyone who's going to participate as far as an attorney, please give me an exhaustive list.
Yes. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair Williams, members of the Commission. My name is Kamal Robinson, appearing on behalf of Duke Energy Progress, LLC. With me also here today is Sam Wellborn, also appearing on behalf of Duke Energy Progress, as well as Lynette Edwards of Burr Foreman, Ashley Cooper of Baker Donaldson, and Lyle Trawick of Robinson Gray. Lyle, if you wouldn't mind standing. There we go. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I will also note that I have been admitted pro hoc vice in this proceeding. And additionally, if it may please the Commission, I would also like to introduce Ms. Erica Green and Ms. Allison Williams, who will ensure that any summaries, exhibits, and other handouts that are properly provided to the Commission and to the parties during the proceeding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Going down the list, we'll start with the CC. There it is. I got so many papers here. As far as Nucor Steel, who is
Mr. Chairman.
Nucor Steel?
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chairman. Rob Smith,
Hey, Rob.
on behalf of Nucor Steel, South Carolina. I'm also joined by Mike Lavanga with Stone Matthias, Xenopoulos and Brew, and also making appearance but not here is Sarah Newton with Stone.
She's
Matthias.
virtual.
And I don't believe she's.
She's not virtual, Mr. Chairman, but she has been participating in the case, so we just wanted to make an
Okay.
appearance for her.
Good, thank you very much. South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. I'm Roger Hall with the department. Also with me today is Jake Edwards and our administrator and consumer advocate, Carrie Ruby Liebarker.
Thank you very much. All right, Sierra Club.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Robert Gild, and with me is Mr. Joshua Berman from the Sierra Club's Environmental Law Program. Will be presenting our case today.
Thank you. South Carolina Coastal Conservation League, Southern Alliance for Clean Energy, Upstate Forever, and Vote Solar.
Good morning, Chair Powers. Kate Mixon on behalf of CCL et al. And with me today is Thomas Gooding.
Yeah, we got him live this time. South Carolina Business Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Nick Callis on behalf of the South Carolina Small Business Chamber. I'm here today with Frank Knapp.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Callis. Mr. Callis, my understanding is that after we get an agreement as to these stipulations that you wish to be excused, and that's fine. You'll be able to go at that time.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. South Carolina Energy Users Committee.
Mr. Chairman, Charlie Trainey for the South Carolina Energy Users Coalition. Thanks.
Thank you. United States Department of Defense and all other federal agencies.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Matthew Von Drossik. I also have with me Leslie Newton and Mr. Michael Murray as well.
Thank you. Walmart.
This is Stephanie Eaton. I'm here on behalf of Walmart, Inc. Thank you.
And they sent you by yourself.
They sure did.
Thank you. Office of Regulatory Staff.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Chad Torrey, and I'm joined by Donna Rainey, Claire Benge, Tom Philopoulos, and Stig Rasmussen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is there any other party who's here that was not on my list? All right, thank you. Going back to the stipulations that we received, tell me who would present the various agreements to the commission. Would then want to ask the parties to each stipulation that is their agreement. So that may take a few minutes, but Mr. Robinson, are you going to do that?
Yes, Chair, I will.
Okay. And we want to take our time with it for the court reporter, so we'll have everybody straight.
All right. Chair, Vice Chair Williams, as well as commissioners, again, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you here today. On behalf of Duke Energy Progress, I am proud to present a comprehensive global settlement for your consideration in this proceeding. In total, the parties are presenting 3 stipulations that resolve all issues in this case. Those 3 stipulations are the revenue requirement stipulation, the large load stipulation, and the EEDSM stipulation. I note, Chair, that each party is either a signatory, does not object, or takes no position on the terms contained within the 3 stipulations. Before I go further, I really sincerely want to thank the Commission for its patience and flexibility in allowing the parties the time needed to finalize and file these stipulations. We recognize that they were filed on the original merits hearing date, and we greatly appreciate the Commission's indulgence in rescheduling to accommodate the settlement process and allow the parties to bring forward a complete resolution. As we have emphasized before in prior proceedings, South Carolina has a strong public policy favoring settlements, and in this particular context, the General Assembly has given ORS the duty and responsibility to try to resolve cases in the jurisdiction of the Commission. Recognizing this important charge, the parties got to work and were able to resolve complex, highly contested, fully litigated, and sincerely disputed issues. This was no easy task, and as is often the case with a good settlement, not everyone got everything they wanted, but that is precisely what makes it work. With that backdrop, Chair, at this time, the Commission moves to mark for identification the comprehensive settlement through the 3 stipulations filed on October 27, 2025, along with Attachment A filed on October 28, 2025, and move them into the record as the Commission's first composite hearing exhibit.
All right, this would be a composite exhibit. It would be number 5.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I do note with the revenue requirement stipulation, the company has some phantom witnesses apparently within the document. I do want to flag that for the record. There are 3 names listed. There is John Spanos filing direct. We have Brian Walsh filing direct and rebuttal. And we also have Taryn Dabuki filing rebuttal testimony. Those are incorrect. Those were inadvertently included, so I wanted to make sure that was clear for the record.
We've looked at that and figured it was a scrivener's error.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, I just want to note, each stipulation includes a provision where all parties agree to stipulate into the record, without cross-examination, the testimony and exhibits of all witnesses who filed testimony in the case. The stipulations identify each witness by party and the types of testimony each witness filed. Therefore, at the appropriate time, the company will propose to mark for identification and enter the testimony and exhibits identified into the record as if given orally from the stand. At the Chair's direction, the company also has signed and notarized verifications for each of the company's witnesses who will not appear before you today.
All right.
And Chair,
of course, so all parties know we're seeking verification of any testimony that's taken under that agreement.
Yes, Chair, thank you. And Chair, I will just note that at the appropriate time, the company does have some comments regarding the actual stipulation terms themselves. So with that, thank you.
Let's start with the partial settlement regarding revenue requirement and related issues. Do you have that in front of you that you could list the parties that are signatories on that? And take your time.
Yes, Chair, I do.
And I've got a list that may be quicker. I'll read the list I've got and you confirm if these are the parties to that. As to the revenue requirement stipulation, Duke Energy Progress, ORS, South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs, United States Department of Defense and other federal agencies, Nucor Steel, South Carolina Energy Users Committee, and Walmart Incorporated. Is that the full list of the stipulation parties?
Yes, Chair, that matches my list. I will note and certainly will let CCL et al. And Sierra Club speak for themselves, but both of those parties do support certain provisions within the revenue requirement stipulation as well.
Just aren't signatories?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that correct, Ms. Mixon?
Yes, that's correct. And if it would be helpful to be specific, CCL et al. Support terms 35 and term 33 in the revenue requirement stipulation. The term 33 on the cost of service study and term 35, which involves reliability reporting metrics.
Thank you very much. All right. As to the stipulation, I'm going to go through these parties very quickly. If you could just signify that this is your agreement. Duke Energy Progress, obviously, this is your agreement.
Yes, sir.
And you had sufficient time to get to this as you think's proper.
Yes, Chair.
All right. Office of Regulatory Staff, do you still stand by this agreement?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. United States Department of Defense and other agencies.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Nucor Steel.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
All right. South Carolina Energy Users Committee
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
and Walmart. Yes, Mr. Chair. All right, thank you. Now, as to the energy efficiency DSM stipulation, I show Duke Energy Progress, South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, and CCL collectively are signatories to this part.
That aligns with my list as well, Chair.
All right. As to South Carolina Small Business Chamber of Commerce, do you still agree to that stipulation?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. South Carolina Coastal Conservation League,
Yes, Chair Powers.
thank you very much. And the last stipulation is the large load stipulation, and I show Duke, Department of Consumer Affairs, Small Business Chamber of Commerce, Coastal Conservation League, and Sierra Club. Is that correct?
That aligns with my list as well, Chair.
All right. As to Department of Consumer Affairs, do you still agree to the large load stipulation?
Yes, we do, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Small Business Chamber of Commerce,
Yes, we do, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. South Carolina CCL and other parties,
Yes, we do.
Sierra Club.
Yes, we do, Chair
Thank
Powers.
you. All right. Now, as to the parties that are not signatories to this agreement, and I would ask, probably without even going through the parties, does anyone have an objection to these agreements, that whether or not you even signed it or agreed to it? Are there any objections to going forward with these stipulations to make them a global agreement? Hearing none, I guess we're ready to go, and your case.
Thank you, Chair. If it pleases the Commission, I would like to state a
Sure,
few words about the
sure.
settlement itself. And thank you. And before I speak to the terms of the settlement, I want to sincerely thank the parties, personally as well as on behalf of the company, for their collaboration and compromise to achieve this result. Rate cases, as we all know, are complex, and this one was certainly no exception, particularly given that it comes in the wake of significant new energy legislation in South Carolina. The South Carolina Energy Security Act, or Act 41, was front and center in this proceeding. We had a lot of parties and many issues on the table. These stipulations come only after a full and detailed exploration by all the parties of the contents of DEP's application, resulting in close to 40 witnesses, multiple rounds of voluminous testimony, and thousands of data requests. But for the extraordinary efforts of the parties, there likely would have been motions practiced too. While I cannot discuss the details of the confidential negotiations, I can say it is with extremely well-informed views by all parties that we decided to engage with each other to evaluate whether a compromised resolution could occur. And that shared understanding made resolution possible. So now I want to briefly turn to some key features of the stipulations. They resolve all disputed issues in this case, including but not limited to the company's base rate revenue increase, ROE, capital structure, grid improvement plan cost recovery, incentive compensation, other benefits, cost allocation, cash working capital, bad debt expense, large load, and potential enhancements to our EEDSM portfolio. Further, the settlement results in a substantial reduction to our requested increase compared to the company's file case. It also includes two important provisions that the Commission could not adopt in this proceeding absent a settlement. A $1.5 million shareholder contribution passed through a decrement rider known as the Customer Assistance and Relief Effort Rider, or CARE rider, to provide relief to residential customers, and the establishment of a production tax credit rider to return nuclear and solar tax credits to customers over time. These provisions provide near-term rate relief for customers while ensuring those benefits are distributed fairly and appropriately. Even further, the stipulations eliminate the need for cross-examination, objections, or competing live testimony. As such, the stipulations improve efficiency, conserve resources, and promote judicial economy.
Let me interrupt you 1 second.
Yes, Chair.
So is there any objection by any parties about the cross-examination, not doing the cross-examination? Thank you. Just wanted that in the record.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, and just as important, the stipulations provide a path for the company to continue appropriately investing and maintaining electric facilities and providing high-quality electric service, which is a matter of public interest, and we believe the adoption of the settlement would help the company attract the capital necessary for continued operations on reasonable terms. It is meaningful when all parties, heavily invested in evaluating all aspects of the company's proposal, come together and present to the Commission a settlement that covers all issues in this proceeding, particularly when it includes positive provisions that the Commission could not award absent a settlement. We look forward to presenting today Tim Pearson, Jacob Colley, Brent Guyton, Kendra Ward, Jonathan Bird, Mike Callahan, Jim Coyne, and Heather Shirley Smith in support of the three stipulations, and any other witness the Commission wishes to hear from to engage in these important discussions. As our witnesses will demonstrate, substantial evidence in the record will overwhelmingly show the terms of the three stipulations are just, reasonable, and in the public interest. And at the appropriate time, we will therefore ask the Commission to adopt the three stipulations in full. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we call witnesses, Mr. Callis, you and Mr. Knapp can stay as long as you want. Leave whenever you get ready. But you don't need to let me know anything else. Thank you all. And on behalf of the Commission, I would like to thank all the parties who worked hard to get this agreement. ORS, of course, has a duty. It's a hard thing for us to not have a decline in affordability and to meet the accommodated load growth and modernize the grid and all the things that are going on at this time. And that's my speech. So you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, the company calls Mr. Tim Pearson and Jacob Colley to the stand.
you please raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start with Mr. Pearson. Mr. Pearson, good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and your business address for the record, please.
My name is Tim Pearson. My business address is 1201 Main Street, Columbia, South Carolina, 29201.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I am employed by Duke Energy Corporation as South Carolina President for Duke Energy Progress, LLC, and Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC.
Mr. Pearson, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 19 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on June 12, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your direct testimony?
No.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 19 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 7th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
No.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your rebuttal testimony?
No.
Mr. Pearson, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision settlement testimony consisting of 8 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 27th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
No.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Chair, at this time, I move that Mr. Pearson's pre-filed direct, rebuttal, and settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct, rebuttal, and settlement testimony will be entered into the record of Mr. Pearson as if given orally from the stand, and will exhibit number. Thank you. He had no exhibits.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Cawley, good morning.
Good morning.
Please state your name and your business address for the record.
Jacob Cawley. My business address is 525 South Tryon Street, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28202.
Thank you. And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC, as Director of Customer Regulatory Planning, Support, and Compliance.
Mr. Cawley, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 31 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on June 12th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
And do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
I do not.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your direct testimony?
No.
Mr. Cawley, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 9 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 7th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
And do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your rebuttal testimony?
No.
Mr. Cawley, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision settlement testimony consisting of 6 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 27th in this docket?
Yes.
And do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
No.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Chair Powers, at this time, I move that Mr. Cawley's direct, rebuttal, and settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct, rebuttal, and settlement testimony, Mr. Cawley, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. Also, for the record, he has no exhibits. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Pearson, have you prepared a summary of your testimony?
Yes, sir, I have.
Thank you. And Mr. Cawley, have you?
Yes.
Chair, at this time, I would like Mr. Pearson to please deliver his testimony summary at this time. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Commission. In my direct testimony, I explained why the company's requested rate adjustment is reasonable, necessary, and aligned with South Carolina's energy needs, policy direction, and continued economic growth. I also provide context for the company's investments, describe our focus on reliability, operational excellence, and affordability, and introduce the other company witnesses. I began by addressing why now is the appropriate time to bring this case. The investments driving this request, investments necessary to strengthen and modernize the grid and ensure continued system reliability, are already in service and benefiting our customers. Filing now helps us to align cost recovery with actual investments, mitigates the magnitude of rate increases due to accumulation of costs, and ensures the company is on sound financial footing as it continues to support South Carolina's continued growth and prosperity. I discussed the company's priorities and performance. Our request is anchored in 3 priorities: investing in what matters to our customers, maintaining operational excellence, and better matching cost recovery to our investments. We have focused on reliability improvements across the transmission and distribution systems and have made prudent investments in our generation facilities, all with a focus on operational discipline and careful management of our operations and maintenance expenses. I provide an overview of why maintaining a strong financial position benefits our customers. In a capital-intensive business like ours, access to capital on reasonable terms is crucial and helps lower long-term costs to our customers. We've also taken steps to manage customer costs and to help support affordability. We have limited our deferral requests and narrowed the scope of this proceeding to reduce overall legal and regulatory expenses for the benefit of our customers. I also touched on the fact that our energy efficiency and demand response programs continue to deliver customer savings, including targeted offerings for income-qualified customers. Throughout my direct testimony, I highlighted the company's role as a partner to South Carolina's communities and economy. Our focus is on safe and reliable service, responsiveness, and engagement with our customers. Since our last case, Duke Energy has supported billions in capital investment and thousands of new jobs in the state. And the investments in this case are a part of the fabric necessary to sustain that growth. Since the time I filed direct testimony, we've had a chance to hear from customers through the public hearing process and through comments filed in this docket. Like you, I attended those hearings and they were very meaningful. Since my direct testimony was filed, we also gained a better understanding of the positions of the other parties when they filed their positions. Although I filed rebuttal testimony on October 7th, the issues I addressed are now resolved through the 3 stipulations filed in this proceeding. In my settlement testimony, I support all 3 stipulations: the revenue requirement stipulation, the EDSM stipulation, and the large load stipulation. I explain how each stipulation reflects meaningful compromise amongst diverse parties and strikes an appropriate balance between customer affordability and the company's continued ability to meet the energy needs of the state. I explained that the stipulations reduce the revenue requirement from our original request, include the creation of the production tax credit and care riders to mitigate rate impacts, and provide paths to collaborate with parties on enhancing our energy efficiency and demand-side management portfolio, and to open a generic docket to hear from stakeholders on matters pertaining to large load. At the same time, the revenue requirement stipulation preserves the company's financial stability necessary to support continued investments in the state, consistent with the state's goals and the company's obligation to provide safe and reliable service to our customers. I note that every party to this proceeding either supports, does not oppose, or takes no position on the terms in the stipulations. Also, as I stated in my settlement testimony, while the stipulations do not resolve every issue in a single comprehensive document, taken together, they reflect a comprehensive compromise. I sincerely thank the parties for working in earnest to present a constructive resolution of all issues in this proceeding before the Commission. For these reasons, I believe the stipulations are in the public interest, and I respectfully request that the Commission approve them. This concludes the summary of my pre-filed direct and settlement testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Mr. Colley, please provide your summary.
Good morning, Chairman Powers and members of the Commission, In my direct testimony, I explained how the company is improving the customer experience by strengthening service channels, expanding digital tools, supporting vulnerable customers, and engaging in clear and timely communication, especially during storms, so that we remain accessible to our customers and responsive to their needs. I began by describing our customer service operations. I then described the range of programs, products, communication solutions to meet the needs of our diverse customer base. We provide multiple billing and payment options, a robust portfolio of energy efficiency and demand response programs, and voluntary renewable offerings that support customer sustainability goals. I also focused on the work that we do to support our vulnerable customers. Our agency team serves as a one-stop resource designed exclusively for our utility assistance agencies that have questions or need support, and has supported thousands of calls from those agencies that have questions about energy assistance for our customers. We also connect qualifying customers with resources that can provide bill assistance, including the company's Share the Light Fund and other assistance programs. In addition, our South Carolina Community Relations team provides face-to-face interactions with our customers through community events such as pop-ups, power hours, and science nights, giving customers direct access to company representatives in their own neighborhoods. I then explained how we measure and improve customer satisfaction through surveys, national benchmarks, and real-time feedback. Lastly, I described our response to Hurricane Helene, including our restoration efforts, customer communications, and lessons learned. While I filed rebuttal testimony on October 7th, 2025, the issues I have raised have been resolved in the revenue requirement stipulation. On October 13th, I filed a letter informing the Commission about the company's efforts to engage with and assist customers who testified at or attended public hearings in Florence, Sumter, and Bishopville. I described how the company representatives followed up on individual concerns and resolved customer issues. In my settlement testimony, I support the EEDSM stipulation and the revenue requirement stipulation. I explained that the EEDSM stipulation reflects a collaborative effort to strengthen the company's energy efficiency and demand-side management programs. This includes a new review of the company's EEDSM portfolio under Act 41, a commitment to explore additional distributed energy resource programs, and a good faith collaboration to expand weatherization offerings, particularly for customers who may not meet traditional income qualifications. I also support the revenue requirement stipulation as it relates to customer billing. Specifically, I describe how the company will itemize the rider charges that were previously grouped under the summary of rider adjustments line item on customer bills. I explained that the company will continue to retain flexibility over bill design, but customers will see individual rider and its associated charge clearly displayed following the resolution of the company's proposed business combination. I conclude that the stipulations are a constructive resolution of all issues in this proceeding and are in the public interest. I respectfully request that the Commission approve them. This concludes the summary of my pre-filed direct and settlement testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson and Mr. Colley. Chair Powers, at this time, Mr. Pearson and Mr. Colley are available for questions from the Commission. Thanks.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chair.
Robinson. Vice Chair Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, gentlemen. Could you all tell me about the CARES program?
Absolutely. I'll let.
You mean specifically the decrement rider?
Exactly.
Yeah. So the design of the rider was a part of the stipulation amongst the gives and takes between the parties, and it's designed to be a 1.5 million distributed over 2 years as a credit to customers based on their usage each month.
Mr. Colley, you can pull that microphone closer so you'll be more comfortable.
There we go.
Yeah, they're movable.
So I don't have to lean down. Thank you.
And could you tell me a little bit more about how that actually, I understand everything you shared, but how exactly will that work?
So my understanding, and Witness Bird supports the exhibit for the rider, but it will be a credit-based rider. So it's based on your usage each month times the credit value will then appear as a credit to reduce your overall bill each month.
And if I have more detailed questions, would Witness Bird be able to answer them?
Specifically to the mechanics of the dollars and how that would flow into the company's finances, I think Witness Bird would be more appropriate for that. But as it relates to the customer experience with the rider, I could certainly answer any other questions that you may have.
Well, I'm just curious as to what that customer experience will look like, considering the variety of customers that you had. I believe Mr. Pearson, as he said, was at all of the public hearings. I want to say I remember seeing your face.
I was there as well. Yes, sir.
So we all heard a lot of testimony. Customers have different needs. So just curious as to what you expect that experience to look like.
So I think the experience will be pretty seamless for customers. It will be a new item on their bill that would be simply a credit to their bill. It would offset any charges that they have from other various riders or energy charges, and it would reduce their bill by the amount multiplied by whatever their usage would be for that billing period. So the experience will be really a billing experience for where they would see a credit to reduce their overall bill, and it would be labeled as a CARES rider.
In terms of the credit and being based on their usage, is there any plan to educate customers as to how if there's a way to maximize the credit?
So the credit would increase with usage. So the maximum you would get essentially more credit the more usage you had each month. So we would anticipate peak months you would get larger credits. So that could offset some of the higher usage months. But educating on, we educate on, ways to save energy often too. So if you use more, your credit would be larger, but if you use less, then the credit would be smaller that month. But we anticipate in the peak months, those credits would, of course, be slightly higher.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Pearson, I welcome any response you may have.
No, I think, I hope Mr. Colley answered your questions. I would say, just broadly, this was part of the settlement conversation, the stipulations, and this is a shareholder contribution from the company. Like you, I heard, from all of those customers, and through this process, we found it appropriate as, an opportunity to do what we can to help, relieve some of the burden that folks are facing with, costs, not just in terms of the rate impacts of this hearing and this settlement, but, the costs that we heard a number of times at those hearings that are going up, in various different places with inflation and other things. And so it is a shareholder contribution. It will flow back over 2 years. So hopefully, as Mr. Colley said, the fact that this will increase with usage, we often hear it's the summer months, right? Especially here in the South, where that burden can come, and be a little bit difficult for folks. And so tying it to that will hopefully help mitigate the times when it really is impactful.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep,
Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Chair Powers.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Pearson, on page 7 of your settlement statement, you're not going to need to look at it, I promise you, but you talk about a balanced path forward. The full sentence is, while they may not resolve every issue exactly as one party might prefer, they represent a balanced path forward. We've heard from Mr. Robinson what that means. Would you describe it kind of for the record, more of what that means to you?
Sure. I like what Mr. Robinson said about the idea that, not everyone gets what they want. And, the idea of a good settlement is, nobody leaves happy, right? And that's part of the give and take. But to me, the balance in this case from the very beginning was, the company's responsibility to, first and foremost, always fulfill our obligation to serve our customers, and B, to support the policy direction and needs of the state. And, over the last 2 years, I think we're all aware, and the state changed its energy policy and had a lot of discussions about that. And so, we very much feel a responsibility to be able to execute on those policies because we think that they're good. Specifically, our desire to be a partner in economic development, supporting the population growth, really building better lives for the customers that we serve, and balancing that with affordability, concerns for our customers that are very real. And so overall, I think that give and take was the constant kind of back and forth in this case. How do we have the company in a financial situation where we can draw down the capital that we need to make the investments necessary to support the state, and at the same time, not stress our customers to a point that's really not where they can handle.
Thank you. Mr. Coley, I look forward to the letter that the company writes after the customer public hearing. And I appreciate that letter and the detail. And did you happen to capture how many people came to those meetings, and what do you think that means about the number of people who came?
Specifically, the exact number of attendees I did not capture. I know we listed out all of the folks that testified at the hearing. Additionally, we received 12 letters, comment letters in the docket that we have also communicated with those customers around program offerings that we had to ensure that they took their time to put a comment into the record and share their concerns, and we wanted to ensure that they also had an opportunity to hear from us as a company after they filed the letters in the docket. And then, of course, every customer that attended the hearing or testified, and many others that also attended that may have not testified, our teams on site, whether it was customer service representatives or vegetation management or a number of other supporting departments, were there to help answer customer questions. We felt that that it was a great experience for our customers that were there to get the support that they may have been seeking out.
Do either of you know how those numbers kind of relate to previous rate hearing testimonies?
So, Commissioner, I do know in the DEP hearings we had a total of 9 folks testify. I don't know numbers. I certainly spoke to my colleagues who've been involved in previous hearings, and there was a lot fewer in their kind of anecdotal experience. And you asked Mr. Cawley, what did he think that meant? I can answer for me. I was a little surprised. I appreciated the chairman at the start of each one of those hearings laying out that, this was a formal hearing and not maybe a school board meeting or something like that. And we've certainly seen, videos and other things of those type of forums. We don't live in a time and place where people are afraid to come out and express their frustrations publicly. So I don't know what it means. I hope it means that we're doing a good job outside of those public hearings, providing a forum and touching our customers on a consistent basis, that they don't feel like they have to wait until y'all schedule a hearing to express their concerns, to have, issues that they're having with their service or their bills handled by us. I'm very proud of the government and community relations team that I'm blessed to lead, and the number of interactions, pop-ups, community events that they have. So I hope that's what it means. But we'll endeavor to make sure that maybe if that is what it means, hopefully there'll be fewer next time, because we're doing an even better job of that.
Okay. One night, the Farm Bureau came and represented 7-8 farmers. And in your letter, Mr. Coley, what was referenced was that you had reached out. Has there been any resolution since the time of your letter?
Yes, ma'am. So, and I do think if you asked witness Shirley Smith later, she can give you a little bit more detail as to what we've done. But I'll start by saying I very much appreciated Mr. Ott and his comments. It came from a very real place, and I appreciated how he handled it. And so I did go meet with him maybe a week week before last with Witness Smith and some other folks on our team and his staff. And I think it was a really productive conversation. You know, he kept saying, which I understand, you know, the math doesn't work for him, the common sense doesn't work. You know, we don't have the opportunity to change our prices on the back end, you know, that kind of thing. And I think, you know, it was a really good meeting because, you know, when we produced the cost of service studies that ultimately ended up in the distribution of the you know, the rate adjustments, we're not looking at, you know, things like your opportunity to change your prices on the back end, right? That's not what goes into it. It's the cost to serve. And I don't think he quite understood that, and we were able to talk him through that. We were also able to, you know, we do have a seasonal rate, which we thought would be impactful to farmers. And so we, before that meeting, were able to run, you know, who we thought based on their usage were farmers through our system. We found 19 of his members in DEP who would receive a rate or an overall energy cost reduction if we switched them to that rate. He was appreciative of that. We are proactively reaching out to them and moving them to that if that is what they would like to do. And there's a little bit more we're doing to help them try and, you know, figure out some other costs. And you know, the resolution from my point of view was he was thankful for the conversation. I was thankful for the conversation. We're doing what we can within the confines of what we have. We can't separate farmers out from their rate class. It doesn't quite work that way. But he did say that, you know, one of his members was going to be speaking at their annual meeting and letting the fellow farmers know how much he appreciated our conversation, and that if they had any issues, that they should reach out to us directly. And with you know, my hope is it's an ongoing conversation.
For the record, here's how I would summarize the tension, and please correct me, or if you'd like to summarize it. That many of the farmers, most of his farmers, are on residential rates, and clearly the operations of a farmer are very different than a residential use. But it is how you all have classified them. And so that's why you've gone and looked at this alternative seasonal.
Yeah, Mr. Bird might be able to do this more accurately than I, but they're not actually classified as residential. Okay. They're either in medium general services or small general services. It's just the rate change in this case for those classes lines up with residential. So the 15% is the same for the SGS as it is for residential in the initial application. So that's what that is. So it is slightly different than residential, but in this case, the math came out the same. And I think it's something like 75% of farmers fall into SGS and about 25 in MGS.
And one thing I'll add too is, and he spoke to this, but from a customer experience and customer service standpoint, we have a business experience team, and it is laid out in the letter too, if that really dedicated for agricultural concerns. And so that was something that our team participated in, helping prepare for those meetings and ensuring that the Farm Bureau and the agriculture community knows that dedicated support is there should they have concerns related to their service or billing or otherwise.
Mr. Coley, in your testimony, you talk about the EEDSM programs and the timing. And just for clarity, when you talk about that, this will be for the unified Duke companies when we are at that point. Is that correct? And not just for DEP?
You're referencing the settlement testimony?
Yes.
That's my understanding. It would be post, approval or denial of the business combination. So there may be some nuances depending on the direction that it ultimately ends up. But it would be a comprehensive review as laid out in the triennial requirement in Act 41.
And this, I think, as Mr. Coley, what have your experiences been with involuntary disconnects that have happened over time, and how has that data point changed? Are there more? Are there less? And how was I'll stop there for a second.
Related to disconnections for non-payment or involuntary disconnections, we have seen an increase in those the last couple of years, but that was expected as we have tightened our credit policies over the last few years. That is a last resort. Disconnection is a last resort that we have to take for customers that do not pay. But as we have tightened our credit policies from where we were about 4 or 5 years ago, that has resulted in an increase in disconnections.
And how does that play out as you think about the base facility charge and the residential rate?
There's so much that really goes into the credit policies, and as well as that ultimately ends up into a disconnection. I'm not sure that the basic facilities charge would have a direct correlation with the disconnection, but what disconnections, as again, are a last resort for us as a company, and we work with our customers through hardships that they may be facing to provide them credit terms to extend out their amounts owed over a length of time that can really hopefully support them. And then also, of course, direct them to programs that we either have through our internal Share the Light program or any external agencies that have funding available to support customers that may be eligible. Then, of course, we look at customers' usage, look for opportunities for them to engage with their energy efficiency portfolio to reduce their usage, look for opportunities for them to engage in our demand side management programs, which can result in bill credits for them to provide some relief to the overall grid. So those are some of the things that we do to help customers that may be going down that path.
Thank you very much to both of you. I appreciate the answers.
Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, sir. Basically, I believe my question's been asked and answered, but I would, my concern was hearing from the farmers also. And a couple of people I think were named that might be coming up that might have more information in connection with working with the farmers. Can you remind me who might be coming up that might be able to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, that's Witness Smith, I think she's coming later today, or depending on the timing here. And she was in the meetings with me and she's really our lead policy person who's been working on the solutions for them.
Okay, and basically, the agricultural part of the business in South Carolina is very, very important to our economy, and appreciate the efforts of the company to work with those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Belson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for being here this morning, although you probably didn't have a choice.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Pearson, I just want to clarify with regard to the farmers, is the primary issue the separate meters for the center pivot irrigation systems? Is that the primary driver of their concerns?
I think that you might have a better chance getting the right answer from Witness Smith than you would from me. My conversation with them was their primary issue was the rate impacts as a whole.
As a whole?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Because they have multiple meters,
That's
basically, is what it is.
That's right. We had some discussion around, their concern that if they needed to run a new distribution line or something like that out, and they were covering the cost of that, it was specific to them. And then, let's say a development.
That's under the line extension part of the general services and conditions, is it not?
Yeah, I should have just left it where it was, which is we should talk to Witness Smith.
It's covered in your tariff. Let's put it that way. If they have to extend the line. Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. Commissioner Castle.
I should have left things alone many times also.
It's hard,
It is. I do not know, Mr. Colley, if either one of you are the ones I should ask these of, but I've learned in the past that I generally find that out after you're not there. So let me start by just asking this on the, I guess, relative to the revenue requirement stipulation. Toward the bottom of page 10, it states, the typical residential customer would see, about $11.73 per month, and I think 7.8% increase. It wasn't clear to me, and it may have been there. Is that based on the 1,000 kilowatt hours per month, or is that the average residential usage per month?
I believe you're correct, but Witness Bird will be coming up, and he will be the one who can really dig into how that is broken down for you.
And that takes care of the next question.
There you
go. And I guess looking at the EEDSM stipulation, it talked about the company agrees to work with interested settling parties, introducing programs such as Solar as EE in South Carolina in Act 41. Can either of you, and if not, you'll tell me who, I guess to address the provisions of Act 41 that took into account when formulating that provision in the settlement agreement?
So I'll give you a broader answer, and then I will defer to, once again, to my colleague, Witness Smith. But so during the process of Act 41, which was a long and I would say thoughtful process, I don't want to count how many times I testified in front of various committees and folks at the General Assembly, but energy efficiency and DSM programs were a big topic of that conversation. And there were a couple things about that. One, and I'm proud of this, is it came to light, and that of all the companies in the Southeast, Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas are 1 and 2 in those two programs amongst all of our peers, and how we execute on that. But secondly, the General Assembly wanted us to invest more time and thoughtfulness, I guess I would say, in that. And as is sometimes the case, they weren't particularly prescriptive sometimes in what the path forward was for that. And so Witness Smith can talk about the specific provisions, but the way that I see the stipulation is it really charts a path forward for us to work with our partners to execute on kind of their goals as they laid out in the Energy Security Act.
I'll check with Ms. Smith and the others. And I'm pretty sure I had another question. It's gone, but I can tell you this, before I went to bed last night, I was thinking about these stipulations and trying to keep up with who agreed to what and where, and battery died, couldn't crank the car, I was in the rain, and it's just not the way I wanted to go to bed.
Well, Commissioner, I'll tell you, before I went to bed, I was thinking about what questions you were thinking about.
Well, here's the good news.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on this, but it's a perfect opportunity. My verse this morning, it actually talked about, for me, it was good. Talked about anything true, anything noble, anything good, and a host of other things like that. Think on these things. I needed that one this morning because I went to bed just rattled. Plus, it cost me $228 for a battery. But all that said, with all the confusion, trying to just keep up with stuff and the back and forth, and it's always good when people can come together and try to do the best they can. Not necessarily the way I would do it or anyone would do it, but so, not trying to preach, but that was perfect for me. Look that one up, Philippians 4:8. All right, I'm through. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Caston. I just have a couple things. In the public hearings, Mr. Edwards of the Department of Consumer Affairs asked some very good questions of a lot of the parties as to how they found out about this these public hearings. And very few of the people involved said they found out from their bill or from the company or from an email. And I know a lot of people do electronic billing, a lot of people do it paper billing. I do both. How can it raised the concern? How can we make that better as far as both customer education and customer communication? Is that something did that occur to y'all like it did to me?
It did. I'll let.
Yeah, I think that we sat there with you guys in each of these throughout the service territory, and it's an interesting question because it's a lot of folks get their information, or at least their detailed information, or in different ways through bill inserts. About public hearings may not be the way that everyone thinks about. There's an event that I need to attend related to my electric service that would be marketed in their electric bill, particularly related to the rate case. So a lot of folks, we heard it from the local news, heard it from maybe social media. So there's a number of ways that customers get their information. We've thought about that too, and how do we make sure that customers are aware of these important hearings, because it will impact their monthly bills potentially. And so we don't have the right solution. We're always open to feedback. And working with parties that may have a better way for us to ensure that there is awareness and exposure to those public meetings. The customer's bill is a communication we send every month, so it makes sense that every customer may not be on social media. Every customer may not listen to the same news channel. Every customer, may not receive there and so the bill is a great platform to be able to achieve broad awareness to our entire customer base. But there are always opportunities to improve that. And we're, of course, always ready to listen and hear about better pathways for that.
Thank you. Well, so many people do not read the fine print. I mean, we're all busy as we can be. And this stuff is hard. What education do you see in the future that could make ratepayers understand that with the tremendous growth, tremendous economic development, long term, your bill's going to come down or your bill's going to be affordable? What education do you feel that we're not reaching everybody apparently? Is there a way you feel reach people better?
So it's a great question, Mr. Chair, and I think, excuse me, it's one that I think about all the time, because it's not just in the context of rate cases and rate increases. One thing I'm going to answer your question in kind of a roundabout way, but one thing that's always amazed me about Duke is the average tenure of our employees over a decade, and so I'm still a newbie. And before I joined Duke, I didn't think about my electricity, right? All I wanted was the light to come on when I flipped it. I thought about it when it didn't. But I had no real understanding of all of the things that go into that light turning on when you flip the switch. And I think, in some respects I was, and this may be true for a lot of people, I was disconnected from, that happens, that we do at Duke and that you guys are a part of, and how that comes on. And so the costs going up and down, it's not like the light gets brighter, right? It's just still on. And I think the answer to your question is we have to do a better job as a company and frankly as an industry of making people understand the value and what we provide and what goes into it. And I think that's really, other than the operational side of making sure that light stays on, that's probably the most important thing we need to do. Because, it does cost money to produce electricity, but people need to feel the value in it beyond when it just goes off.
And population growth and development, besides just AI, has made that a harder balance between affordability and security and reliability.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's one of the reasons I think the stipulation on large load is such a positive thing because, I read the newspapers too, and I think people are wary of, the kind of data center AI load, and I think there's a great opportunity for us and for others who will participate to provide more detail, more fact-based kind of on how that does impact the system, where those costs come, how, the revenue side of that and how that can cover the cost of things. So I think that education is exceptionally important. I'm quite looking forward to that docket and our, the opportunity for y'all to ask questions and for us to get more information about that out there for the public.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Any further commissioner questions? Commissioner Brett.
No question. I just want to thank Mr. Pearson, Mr. Cawley for being there in Florence, Bishopville, and Sumter, and having your team there. To me, it made a great statement to have the president of Duke, South Carolina, present front row, and your team, the way they responded to every one of those concerns and questions, not just during their presentations, but after. I heard from a lot of those folks, and they were very appreciative of Duke. And at the end, I'll make a comment, and I'll include ORS and DCA, the things that y'all did through this process as well. So I'll hold that. But I wanted to speak to y'all since you're up here testifying right now.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, thank you. We take a lot of pride in the work that happened at those, so thank you for that comment.
Chair Powers, I thought of my other question.
Commissioner Cast.
And it's a hard one.
Okay.
Actually, it's not. And you made me think of something unintended. I saw Mr. Callahan back there, and Mr. Britchie said it. I remember Mr. Callahan being at every one of those public hearings and seeing you out there. And I know that sometimes that's a challenge, not only just personal time, but not everybody there is glad to see you. That said, I also understand, flip the light on in our cases, when you turn the spigot, only 2 times people thought about us was whether water didn't come out of it or when they got their bill. Neither one of those made them feel warm and fuzzy. What I think I've heard you say, the company certainly needs adequate resources to invest to perpetuate the system. But an equal goal, I'm rephrasing it, and if you don't agree with this, say it. An equal goal is for the customers not to have to pay a penny more than they need to pay. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of our driving pillar goals is to keep, our bills, our rates as low as possible. And one of the things that I'm proud of is that even with this increase, if it's approved, our rates will still be below the national average. I can give you an example. And we've talked a lot and heard a lot about rising costs, all over the place. In DEP over the last 2 years, we've kept O&M flat. We take a great deal of pride in our ability to keep costs low because, they're our customers, but they're our communities, right? I mean, our folks live in these communities, we serve them, we see these people, our customers all over the place. So yeah, it's well stated, but yes.
Thank you.
Chair Powers.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. Chair Powers reminded me of something I'd like to piggyback on. I recall someone coming, might have been in the DEC case where she brought the bill insert with her. The timing of those inserts, the timing of this entire process is, so precise, and it's kind of like if you don't do it, certain things have to be done by a certain time. Certain things you need to get them started so they're in the hands of your customers in time. But I wondered, I think this is just a comment, but you may have a response to it, whether those bill inserts are coming at a time when people are going to be able to remember when those customer public hearings are happening, and whether there's any flexibility there. Mr. Coley.
Yeah, I can speak to that just a little bit. There is quite a lead time to go into production, get to print, stuff the bills, get out the door. So there is a lead time. Could it be closer to when those hearings are set? That's something we can certainly look at. and determine if we could, how close can we get those for the bill inserts. So we appreciate that comment, and there is a little wiggle room, I would imagine, but there is some weeks that we need to be able to do it timely and efficiently. Still, thank you.
I understand and I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate your comment though. It's a good thought.
Any further commissioner questions? Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to take our morning break right now. It's 11:15. If we could be ready to go back by 11:30, we will get this thing moving. Thank you. We're in recess. Good morning again, and welcome back to the South Carolina Public Service Commission. We are continuing the testimony on the case of Duke Energy Progress LLC, docket number 2025-154E. Mr. Robinson, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. And Chair, admittedly, I don't think I was quick enough on the draw. I wanted to confirm, does the Commission have any more questions for Mr. Pearson and Mr. Colley at this time?
I don't hear any.
Thank you, Chair, and I recognize what the response will be, but at this time, we would ask that they be excused.
At your own risk.
Thank you, sir. At this time, the company now calls Brent Guyton to the stand. Thank you.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Guyton. Mr. Guyton, please state your name and your business address for the record.
Brent C. Guyton. My business address is 555-A Brevard Road, Asheville, North Carolina.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC as Director, Distribution Asset Management and Power Grid Operations. Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC is an affiliate of Duke Energy Progress, LLC that provides various services to DEP and other affiliated companies of Duke Energy Corporation. Both DEC and DEP are wholly owned subsidiaries of Duke Energy Corporation.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 26 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on June 12, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 8 exhibits to your direct testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed direct testimony in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibits?
No, I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Mr. Guyton's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Guyton's direct exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
All right. The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Guyton will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Guyton marked as 1 through 8, direct exhibits 1 through 8, are marked for identification, be placed in the record as exhibit number 6.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Guyton, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 27 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 7, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
I do not.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 1 exhibit to your rebuttal testimony that was previously filed with the Commission as an attachment to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony in this docket?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any changes or additions to your exhibit?
I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Mr. Guyton's pre-filed rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Guyton's rebuttal exhibit be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Guyton will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand, and the pre-filed rebuttal exhibit of witness Guyton, identified as Guyton Rebuttal Exhibit 1, is marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Guyton, did you review the stipulations that were filed in this docket for this matter?
Yes, I did.
And do you believe the stipulations reflect a just and reasonable resolution of the related issues in this proceeding and are in the public interest and should be approved?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Chairman Powers, witness Guyton is now available for a commissioner question.
Thank you very much. Any commissioner questions?
we were, Commissioner, we were of the understanding that the chair advised that summaries would be optional, and given the fact that this witness was not he's not supporting the settlement, this was a witness that the commission asked to appear. We were going to not have him read a summary since he doesn't have any settlement testimony, and just be ready to answer any questions about his testimony.
All right. Commissioner questions? Commissioner Williams?
Thank you, Chair Powers. Good to see you, Mr. Guyton. Thank
Good morning.
you for coming.
Certainly.
At the customer public hearings, we heard, as you can imagine, a number of people talking about disturbances, frequency, how long. Not as many people talking about how long they were without power. And so my questions follow up, inspired by that, but also looking at the testimony. On pages, and you probably don't need to go there, but 12 and 13 are the safety and SAIDI numbers for Duke Energy Progress.
Correct.
Would you talk about kind of how those numbers have changed over the time that you express them from 2020 to 2024?
Certainly. So most metrics, including safety and SAIDI, will have some variability year over year, and you see that with a solid line graph in both charts, and it is on page 12 and 13 of my direct. What I would point to, though, and what I'm pleased with and proud of, is the declining trend. So the trend line, which is the dash line in both instances, is declining, which means better performance, fewer outages, and duration for customers from that perspective. So that I'm pleased with. Is there? I can talk in more detail. Is there a specific question or something that came from the hearings, public hearings?
No, I think what I see is, and of course we're just looking at 4 years, and I see what you're saying about the trend line, but I'll move on. Did you happen to review Mr. Childs's testimony from ORS?
I did. Yes,
okay.
I did.
Could you speak to some of the concerns or the data that is indicated in that testimony, which really suggests that, to me, the way I'm reading it, that Duke Energy Progress has the highest SAIDI numbers in South Carolina, and I believe the second highest in the, I'm reading it wrong, second highest in SAIDI and highest in safety.
So we do participate in benchmarking, and I believe Mr. Childs leveraged some of the benchmarking that we participate in to compile. I think he had a table in his testimony and made some commentary about that. What I would say, and I spoke to this in my rebuttal testimony, is that benchmarking can be useful, but taken out of context, or if you don't normalize the data from one utility to the other, it can point to things that aren't completely understood. And when we participate in the benchmarking studies, our governance group does for reliability governance, they've got a much deeper comparison across those different utilities from that perspective. But what I focus on in my day job and as a witness as well is what we're doing for the DEP South Carolina customers. Our territory in DEP, besides maybe the Florence area, is pretty rural and spread out, fairly heavily vegetated, and vegetation is certainly a cause. I think he had reference to some municipals in there, maybe Nashville and maybe Chattanooga. And if you think about how a municipal utility is, they're very compact, may have vegetation issues, but a much smaller footprint. And so I think from an operations perspective, being able to respond quickly from a duration standpoint, that's much easier with a smaller thing as opposed to a lot of exposure from very rural territory. But that was my commentary in testimony from that perspective.
So what I think you said is that just given the rural nature of DEP, there are some challenges associated with vegetation that are routinely challenges.
Well, and they may not be, and back to the comparison that Childs was making, not knowing exactly what those other systems look like.
Right.
For me, that's hard to make a direct comparison. It is a comparison. We do benchmarking, but the benchmarking studies go much, much deeper than Witness Childs went into in his testimony. He simply had a table that force ranked them from that perspective.
And the tables I'm looking at are ones where he's just identifying Duke Energy Progress, Duke Energy Carolinas, Dominion Energy and South Carolina Public Service Authority. And of course, I'm looking at it in a really broad perspective, and I just see you all at the top of the list when you don't want to be at the top of the list.
Well, and I would agree with that. And like I say, what I'm proud of is the improvement we're making, that trend line coming down. Now, other utilities are also making investments and improvements. So if we're all trending down, you may still have some separation, but we're making investments that are making a difference for the DEP South Carolina customers.
And that's good for all South Carolina customers.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to add? 'Cause I believe you might have more questions, but.
Well, one thing I would point to, and back to my direct testimony, that downward trend, one of the biggest drivers that we have, and you've asked me questions about self-optimizing grid before.
Yes.
At the system level, which is what those graphs are looking at for DEP South Carolina, that's one of the tools that we really have that can move the needle at the system level. A lot of the work we do, like targeted underground, is very specific to a portion of a circuit or a small group of customers. But the penetration levels that we have with our self-optimizing grid for the customer base in DEP South Carolina, I feel like that's a major contributor to that, and that'll continue to put downward pressure on that. We'll still have variability year over year, but that technology is there and operating. We'll continue to deploy more of that, and that I think is one of the biggest benefits.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your being here.
Certainly. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. And just one question. I was quickly reading through the stuff that was handed out here, and you talk about the company utilized the estimated ongoing cost and O&M benefits related to avoided outage, restoration, and reduction of vegetation management. That's on the second page of this testimony summary. But and before that, you talk about the 5 things, the underground and different things such as that, grid improvement plan investments. I don't know how you would do these things. I mean, this would be difficult, but if you can, how do you estimate benefits related to avoided outage restoration? Did you look at what it was before and this is what it is now? So it's that delta?
That's correct. So, and is there a particular portion of my testimony? I want to make sure I'm looking at it, but I'm
there.
Okay. So let me back up and talk about the challenges we had. We certainly, followed the stipulation about identifying O&M savings, et cetera. I think one of the areas that we weren't aligned with Witness Salter was cost avoidances versus cost savings. Mm-hmm. And then also there's another piece, which is direct to customer savings. What we leveraged to be able to do that, because it is difficult, was the cost benefit analyses that we had performed as we looked to extend the grid improvement plan back in 2022, which was granted. Those cost benefit analyses had 3 different types of what I'll say savings / avoidances in O&M space. One of those, and the largest one, is the direct to customer benefit of not having an outage. And that comes from the Department of Energy, Lawrence Berkeley National Labs, the ICE estimating tool, the interruption cost estimating tool. And essentially it monetizes for different customer classes, residential, commercial, and industrial. What's the value of not having an outage or a shorter outage from that perspective? That's not a benefit that flows through Duke. That's an estimate of the monetization of that directly to customers. What we do have that are more, I'll say, operational in nature, and I'll give a couple of examples. In my rebuttal, Exhibit 1 has a table that lists these out. But a good example is the one at the very top, the targeted underground. And there's two line items that we've estimated benefits for customers there. One is avoided outages or outage restoration cost, and then vegetation management. And even between those two savings, there's distinctions. Vegetation management. So if we've taken a portion of our overhead system and put those lines permanently underground, we no longer have to trim the trees. And we have defined contracts with our vegetation management vendors. There's cost per span, per mile. So we have a very known and measurable cost for what it takes to trim trees. If we buried a mile of line, that's a mile of line. We don't have to trim. We know what those costs were and the period of doing that maintenance. Where it gets harder to define known and measurable is outage avoided cost. But we do have data of what our outage restoration costs have been historically. And for those particular lines that we have a 10-year outage history that we look at to determine, is this a good targeted underground thing? And then we look at the outages that occur or don't occur afterwards. And there's actually in my rebuttal testimony, there's a table, and this was in response to some of Child's other comments, that shows the improvement on those areas where we've done targeted underground. It's a step change in performance in reduction of outages. That's what we leverage to calculate those costs. But other costs that are harder to identify, where we don't have discrete data or known and measurable data to be able to do that. And one that I think was also a misunderstanding was around savings in self-optimizing grid. While that's a very powerful tool, and I described it to Commissioner Williams a moment ago, it doesn't stop the outage from happening. And let me describe that. So before we deploy the self-optimizing grid technology on a particular circuit, if we had let's say a car hit pole, public vehicle accident breaks one of our poles, that entire circuit would likely be out historically until we made the repairs to that pole. That might be 1,000 customers. It might be 2,000 or 3,000 customers. Once we've deployed self-optimizing grid and the automated switches on that circuit, we limit the number of customers through automation in less than 60 seconds, how many customers are actually seeing the outage. And that typically is around 400 to 500 customers as opposed to the entire circuit being out. But a crew still has to respond and fix that broken pole. So that there's no reduction in outage cost from an operational perspective because our crews have to perform the same work. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That was very helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. No more questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Cass. Any further Commissioner questions? Commissioner Britt.
When did Duke take over Progress and the customers in the Duke Energy Progress area?
I believe that merger was 2010. I don't remember the exact closing perspective, but
So it hasn't been that long, 15 years, because I was born and raised in Dillon.
Okay.
Lived in a little place between Latta and Bennettsville, where
Yes,
the
sir.
chairman's from. And we were very fortunate to have power, period, back when I was born. In fact, didn't have it. But so you've only had it 15 years. And I think you've made remarkable improvements in those 15 years from where it was. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Britt. Any further Commissioner questions? Mr. Guyton, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair Powers, may I just ask one quick question on redirect? I think the parties agreed to that, and then
Sure, I'm
we'll have a
sorry.
quick follow. No, thank you, and then we may have a quick follow up along the lines of Mr. Robinson's follow up. I'll walk up to the stand so he can see me. Mr. Guyton, do you recall you were just asked a couple of questions about the overall trends, and you talked about the trends and the improvements overall of the system and safety. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And while we're still in 2025 and not finished with 2025 yet, would it be true that so far 2025 is also tracking that improvement and showing those trends that you discussed?
It is. I think we have filed the third quarter reporting with the commission and continuing to see improvement, even on a rolling 12 and a year to date for 2025.
Okay. Thank you very much. Nothing further for the witness.
Thank you
Chair
very
Powers.
much.
And Chair Powers, subject to my own issues with the commission and subject to ridicule in front of all these people, may I ask that he be excused subject to those qualifications.
Certainly at your risk.
Thank you. At this time, Chair Powers, the company would call witnesses Kendra Ward and Jonathan Bird to the stand, and there'll be a panel.
Would you please raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Ms. Ward and Mr. Byrd. Ms. Ward, if you're ready, we'll start with you, please. Ms. Ward, please state your name and your business address for the record.
Kendra Ward, and my business address is 525 South Tryon Street, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28202.
Thank you. And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy Carolinas as a Rates and Regulatory Strategy Director.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 37 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on June 12th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
They would.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 2 exhibits to your direct testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed direct testimony in this docket?
Yes.
And do you have any changes or additions to your exhibits?
No, I do not.
Chair Powers, at this time I moved that Ms. Ward's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Ms. Ward's direct exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Ms. Ward will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Ward identified as exhibits 1 and 2, direct or marked for identification, be placed in the record as exhibit number 8.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Ms. Ward, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision supplemental direct testimony consisting of 7 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on June 23rd, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your supplemental direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 2 supplemental exhibits to your supplemental direct testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your supplemental direct testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your supplemental exhibits?
No, I do not.
And Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Ms. Ward's supplemental direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Ms. Ward's supplemental direct exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The supplemental direct testimony of Ms. Ward will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The supplemental pre-filed exhibits of witness Ward identified as 1 and 2 supplemental are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 9.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Ms. Ward, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 32 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 7, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 2 exhibits to your rebuttal testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your rebuttal exhibits?
No, I do not.
And Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Ms. Ward's pre-filed rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Ms. Ward's rebuttal exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Ms. Ward will be entered in the record as it's given orally from the stand, and the rebuttal exhibits 1 and 2 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 10.
Thank you, Chairman Powers. Ms. Ward, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision settlement testimony consisting of 12 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
And do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
No, I do not.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 2 exhibits to your settlement testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed settlement testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your settlement exhibits?
No, I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time I move that Ms. Ward's pre-filed settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Ms. Ward's settlement exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed settlement testimony of Ms. Ward will be entered to the record as if given orally from the stand, and the pre-filed settlement exhibits of Ms. Ward identified as 1 and 2 are marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 11.
Thank you, Chairman Powers. Mr. Byrd, would you please state your name and business address for the record?
Jonathan Byrd. My business address is 525 South Tryon Street, Charlotte.
And Mr. Byrd, if you could push the red button. All right, let's
pull it close to you. So.
My apologies.
Hey, Mr. Byrd, why don't we start over if that's okay, just for the.
Sure.
Mr. Byrd, please state your name and your business address for the record.
Jonathan Byrd. My business address is 525 South Tryon Street, Charlotte, North Carolina 28202.
And by whom are you employed in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy as the Managing Director of Rate Design and Regulatory Solutions.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 49 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on June 12th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
I do not.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
And did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 7 exhibits to your direct testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed direct testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibits?
I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Mr. Byrd's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Byrd's direct exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Byrd, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand, and the pre-filed exhibits of witness Byrd identified as exhibits 1 through 7 are marked for identification and placed in the record as exhibit number 12.
Thank you, Chairman Powers. Mr. Byrd, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 22 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 7, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
And do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
I do not.
And if I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 2 exhibits to your rebuttal testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibits?
I do not.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Mr. Byrd's pre-filed rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Byrd's rebuttal exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony, Mr. Byrd, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Byrd, pre-filed rebuttal exhibits of Mr. Byrd identified as exhibits 1 and 2 are marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 13.
Thank you, Chairman Powers. And Mr. Byrd, did you also prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision settlement testimony consisting of 9 pages that was previously filed with the Commission on October 28, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions here today, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision 8 exhibits to your settlement testimony that were previously filed with the Commission as attachments to your pre-filed settlement testimony in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your exhibits?
No.
Chairman Powers, at this time, I move that Mr. Byrd's pre-filed settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand, and that Mr. Byrd's settlement exhibits be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed settlement testimony of Mr. Byrd will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits of witness Byrd identified as settlement exhibits 1 through 8 marked for identification, placed in the record as exhibit number 14.
Thank you, Chairman Powers. Ms. Ward, have you prepared a summary of your direct, supplemental direct, rebuttal, and settlement testimony?
Yes, I have.
And Mr. Byrd, have you prepared a summary of your direct, rebuttal, and settlement testimony?
Yes, I have.
Beginning with Ms. Ward, would you please deliver your summaries at this time?
Yes. Good morning, Chairman Powers and members of the Commission. In my direct testimony, I supported the company's request for an adjustment to its base rates. I presented the results of DEP's operations under present rates on the basis of an adjusted historical test year using the 12-month period ended December 31st, 2023, and a capital update period through December 31st, 2024. I supported the company's proposed revenue requirement of approximately $74.8 million. I provided details for the proposed revenue requirement, including an overview and in-depth description of each accounting and pro forma adjustment to the company's operating revenues, expenses, and rate base. I also sponsored the company's accounting request, including continuing regulatory asset treatment for coal ash environmental compliance costs after the update period, and the proposed establishment of a pension rider. In my supplemental direct testimony, I presented updates to certain accounting and pro forma adjustments, including corrections and updates resulting from recent commission orders and the company's ongoing review of its filings. Those updates address, among other items, adjustments related to environmental ARO cost, rate case expenses, cash working capital, interest synchronization, storm cost normalization, and the storm reserve. The cumulative effect of these supplemental adjustments is a reduction in the company's proposed revenue requirement by approximately $1 million, resulting in an updated revenue requirement of approximately $73.7 million. While the company did not formally amend its requested revenue requirement at that stage of the case, these adjustments were intended to inform the final outcome as the proceeding progressed. While I filed rebuttal testimony and exhibits on October 7th, 2025, the issues I addressed have now been resolved in the revenue requirement stipulation. In my settlement testimony, I explained that the revenue requirement stipulation reflects a reasonable compromise among the parties and results in a revised revenue requirement of approximately $51.2 million, based on a capital structure of 53% equity and 47% debt, and a return on common equity of 9.99%. I also described two new rate mitigation riders agreed to in the settlement: the production tax credit rider and the CARE rider. The PTC rider will return $20 million to customers over the first 2 years of new rates, and the CARE rider will return $1.5 million to the residential class funded by shareholders. I also discussed the company's agreement to work with ORS in good faith to petition the Commission to open a generic proceeding to evaluate the appropriate method for calculating cash working capital and future rates. Finally, I explained how Attachment A to the revenue requirement stipulation, which incorporates Ward Settlement Exhibit 1 and Ward Settlement Exhibit 2, reflect the adjustments contained in the revenue requirement stipulation. I conclude that the revenue requirement stipulation is the result of extensive negotiation and compromise among the parties, is a just and reasonable resolution of the related issues in this proceeding, is in the public interest, and should be approved. This concludes the summary of my pre-filed direct, supplemental direct, and settlement testimony.
Good afternoon, Chairman Powers and members of the Commission. In my direct testimony, I provided an overview of the company's rate design proposals for residential and non-residential rate schedules to recover the proposed revenue requirements and improve alignment between the revenues collected from each customer class and the company's cost of service. I described how the company's incremental rate design modifications in this case are a continuation of existing rate design modernization efforts. For residential customers, I noted that most would see little change to their current rate options, though the company proposed a new schedule to serve large, highly flexible loads. For non-residential customers, I explained that the proposed updates will result in customers seeing only incremental impacts. I also discussed the modest changes and improvements to the company's lighting schedules and service regulations. As examples, the company proposed to move to a 30-minute interval for purposes of calculating a customer's demand for demand charges, and proposed enhancements to our service regulations to address very large new loads with unique and concentrated grid impacts. Additionally, I proposed the planned orderly termination of 3 long-closed tariffs by December 31, 2028. Overall, I explained that the updated rates will allow the company to recover its cost of providing safe and reliable electric service and to maintain a strong financial position as it remains in a period requiring major capital expenditures. While I filed rebuttal testimony on October 7th, 2025, the issues I raised have been resolved in the revenue requirement and large load stipulations. In my settlement testimony, I support the revenue requirement stipulations, rate design provisions, and the large load stipulation. Regarding the revenue requirement stipulation, I explain that the revised rate design continues to align class revenues with cost causation, incorporates the customer mitigation measures agreed to, and reflects the updated revenue requirement. I also describe how the company allocated the benefits of the PTC rider and care rider across customer classes and provided exhibits detailing the calculation of those charges. Finally, I support the terms of the large load stipulation, which establishes a path for a comprehensive review of topics related to large loads and a dedicated docket that will include other utilities and stakeholders. I conclude that the stipulations are a constructive resolution of all issues in this proceeding, are in the public interest, and I respectfully request that the Commission approve them. This concludes the summary of my pre-filed direct and settlement testimony.
Thank you very much. Chairman Powers, at this time, Ms. Ward and Mr. Byrd are available for Commissioner questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Any Commissioner questions?
Mr. Chair,
Vice Chair Williams.
just like to follow up with Mr. Byrd on questions I had for our first two witnesses regarding the CARES rider. Could you tell me about the rider, sir?
Yes, sir. The care rider is going to be applied to the residential class only, and it's applied as a volumetric decrement that would show up on every residential customer's bill. They don't have to sign up for it. There's no process for them to go through. It would just flow through to their bill as a decrement, and it's an equal kilowatt hour number, $1 per kilowatt hour number for every residential tariff that we have.
And you may not know this, but just from the rider design and what you think will happen, how will it impact, in your view, how will it impact residential customers?
Are you asking about the size of the impact on the bill specifically?
Any and all impacts.
Okay,
because I mean there was some thought put into it.
It was as a result of the stipulation, absolutely. So it came out of that, and so I designed, or my team designed, just the volumetric charge to align with the total kilowatt hours that we have in the residential class. So for a typical 1,000 kilowatt hour customer, the care rider would provide a 39-cent decrement on that 1,000 kilowatt hour bill.
And I asked this question earlier. Will there be any customer education regarding the rider or any literature that explains the rider? And I'm sure no one's going to complain that the bill is decreasing by any amount, but just curious as to how will the customer know and understand why the rider is there.
So it's described on the rider tariff sheet, and there's nothing for the customer to do with respect to that. It would just be a communication of information. So outside of that, I'm not sure what the customer team may have available, but we could certainly make that available on our website to be clear what that looks like. But again, there's nothing for the customer to do with respect to that participation of that rider.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. Following up on Vice Chair Williams's question, I know there's only so much you can share about the negotiations, but I want to check to see if I'm understanding this right. The the residential, is this true? The residential customer who uses the most will see the most benefit?
Yes.
Who use the most kilowatts?
Yes, ma'am. It is a volumetric, so it's per kilowatt hour. So the benefit of the credit would be higher for higher consumption levels. That's correct.
I'm going to shift gears and ask you another question. I'm clearly processing that one. But on page 7 of your settlement testimony, you talk about the impact of the production revenue tax credit and the care rider, and you talk about it being. Let me make sure this is the right question I intended to ask you. Based on settlement rates, you say the monthly increase of approximately $11.23. And I'm really just trying to get an apples to apples understanding of that paragraph that is line 13 through 16 of page 7. You talk about an $11.23 is what the customer, the increase would be based on this rate request and settlement if granted. And then you talk about the percentage decrease on the typical bill as being 7.8%. Could you tell me what the, given the production tax credit and the care rider impact, what the dollar impact is likely to be to the bill? Does that make sense, or would you like me to try it?
You're asking, if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking in particular the impacts of the PTC rider and the care rider?
In total will be fine. I'm just trying to, I've got a dollar number in one sentence and then I have a percentage impact in the next sentence. And so I'm just sort of looking for something that would give us a total dollar impact as a result of the settlement agreement.
Under present revenues, a 1,000 kilowatt hour residential customer would have a bill of $143.96, and that's from Bird Settlement Exhibit 4.
Okay.
And then Bird Settlement Exhibit 4 has the proposed revenue number in there, but that number on that exhibit does not include the PTC rider and the care rider.
Right.
When you include those, the resulting bill is $155.20. That's the 1,000 kilowatt hour customer, and that difference between those is $11.23, and that's where we get the $11.23. That's where we get the 7.8% increase.
Then I misunderstood this. After including the impacts. I'm sorry, everybody, for putting you through that, but now I read it the way you wrote it. There is no apples and oranges. It's all apples.
That's correct. Yes, just to be clear, on page 7, what I'm explaining there is current rates to the full.
Right,
okay.
Right. And it is, I read it differently than it is there, so I appreciate the kind clarification.
Happy to help.
And sorry for putting everybody through that. I think this question is for Ms. Ward. And this is more, and either of you can answer this. You have some testimony about the impact of the production, the longevity of the production tax credit. And I realize that for the settlement, this is about a 2-year agreement. But I'm thinking about customers and what they see on their bill and then what the impact is after this agreement isn't in place. I'm asking for a little bit of speculation or just better understanding of if, and I'm looking in particular at your page 6, where you talk about if in lines 15 and 16, the PTCs are available for qualifying generation produced from 2024 to 2032. Does that give us any indication of the longevity of the potential PTCs?
Yes, absolutely. So what we have in the stipulation, like you mentioned, is the 20 million over the 2 years. But then if you want to turn to page 7 of my settlement testimony, we also talk through what happens after that.
Right.
So after that, we'll have an annual rider filing that will update it based on the current PTCs that we have available to return to customers. So that will get updated every year through an annual PTC rider filing. And that would be ongoing as to the extent that we still have PTCs.
And I do understand that. I'm just asking if the fact that you say on page 6 that the qualifying generation produced from 2024 to 2032 is any indication of how long the PTCs might be out there for a decision and an update.
As long as the rules stay as they are, we would still be getting certain PTCs through 2032. And then we talk through their annual rider. Those would be levelized and returned over 4 years. So those that would be generated later on would still be levelized and returned over 4 years, is my understanding. Hopefully that's helpful.
That is.
Okay.
And I think that's it for my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Caston.
Thank you. Not morning, good afternoon. I think you two, or one of you two, were also, I was told to ask you guys, relative to, I guess what Commissioner Carolee Williams was asking relative to the 1123 a month increase and that 7.8%. That is based on 1,000 kilowatt hours, not average residential usage.
That's correct. That's what we call the typical 1,000 kilowatt hour customer, and that's a pretty industry standard approach to comparing residential rates across utilities, and that's what that number is.
I understand that some folks like using 100 cubic feet of water, some like using 1,000 gallons a day. I get that. But for my edification, what is the average residential usage for a typical residential customer in DP?
So there's two ways to look at that. If you're asking about what is the overall class increase, it's 7.9%. That's the residential class. So it's kind of on average, the class is going up by 7.9%. If you think about an average customer, the average usage customer, I'm not sure the exact number, but it's a little north of 1,000 kilowatt hours. So it'd be kind of in that same range as well, around 7.98%. One of my exhibits shows how that would play out differently for customers at different consumption levels within that residential rate.
Well, I couldn't remember it and I didn't see it. It seemed like I remember at one time someone's, I don't know if it was DEC's at some point, was about 1,200 plus or minus, and DEP's was 1,100 and something. Has that, are you telling me that has come down?
No, sir, I'm not saying that's changed. I think that's about right. It's in that 1,100, 1,200 range for average, as I recall.
So when we think in terms of what the average residential customer will see in a monthly bill, and if the average residential customer uses, say, 1,150, and again, I don't know what that average residential usage is, it would be more than 1,143 or 143.96. It would be, of course, DEP, you guys are still on a declining block, right?
So let me, if I can look at one of my exhibits, I think I can address that. So in Bird Settlement Exhibit number 4, and I'll also say that Commissioner Williams was asking me about the CARE and the PTC rider, which are not included in that. But you can see that as consumption increases across a residential customer, the rate increase goes up very slightly. So a customer using, say, 2,000 kilowatt hours with the PTC rider and CARE rider included would see an 8.3% increase compared to that 7.8. So you're in between those numbers as consumption goes up. That's what That's what would happen with their overall rate increase.
Okay, I'll look more at it, but I can't remember if y'all's is like 800 and above 800 kilowatt hours, it's declining block, or DEC's inclining. I can't remember which is which, but I'll look at that. On that care item, if I understood you correctly, if I understand how I think you said that work, it's a volumetric usage. Is that did you calculate it, or will you calculate it where it's based on X number of cents or whatever per kilowatt hour per 1,000 kilowatts, or the more you use, the more you would save. So I'm assuming it's based on something like that.
It is a cents per kilowatt hour number.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you are correct. Yes, there is a declining block in our schedule RES at above 800 kilowatt hours. So good memory.
Every now and then my memory works, but sometimes it doesn't. Let me see if that's it. I'm pretty sure. One final thing. I noticed you went to UNC Chapel Hill and NC State. They allow that?
Maybe not at the same time.
And has anyone ever confused you with a very good golfer?
I've been asked that, but that is a different person.
I was going to ask for your autograph. Thank you, Mr. Bird.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Chair Powers. I found one other question, and this relates to the settlement agreement. And the item, and Ms. Ward, you may have quoted this to me, but, and this is 10B, B10, little b, 4. DEP shall make prudent and reasonable efforts to maximize customer benefit from available PTCs. If future changes in law, regulation, or governmental judicial determinations modify, the company will adjust, etc. I just wanted to ask you what are some ways that you can think about that might be how you would maximize those customer benefits?
So my understanding is we are still waiting certain guidance from the U.S. Treasury as it pertains to these PTCs that were created from the Inflation Reduction Act. So the company's goal is definitely to maximize PTCs to the extent that we can, and to return those to the customers to the extent that we can, as in the event that there's no law changes or anything that would prevent us from being able to do that. The company will definitely keep that top of mind and try to maximize these to the extent possible and return those.
Okay. Thank you. That was it. I appreciate it. Thank you both.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Mr. Bird, just one question. I'm hearing it back and forth. With a volumetric rider, how does that promote energy efficiency?
Are you asking specifically about the care rider?
The one you mentioned, yes.
Yes, sir. So I would say this is not, we have a lot of riders that are volumetric. And so this is a pretty typical design for a rider to apply it on a kilowatt hour basis. And so the charges on the base tariff are cents per kilowatt hour, and then this rider would simply reduce those base charges on the tariff. So to the extent you think about increased consumption, resulting in incrementally higher bills, this is simply reducing that cents per kilowatt hour that we would charge for the tariff rate for all customers on a residential tariff over that 2-year period. So it's just layered right on top of that base tariff design.
That doesn't really address energy efficiency, though.
It's not related to that, I don't think. I think it just modifies that base tariff charge.
All right, thank you, sir. Vice Chair Williams?
Yes, sir. Mr. Byrd, I want to make sure I'm not reading too much into the CARES rider or misreading it. Based on some testimony, it appeared as if there was concern that this rate increase could impact low-income customers more than others. And I think there has been testimony, or I should ask, is it fair, or in your opinion or in your experience, have you witnessed low-income customers maybe having a usage rate that's pretty high?
I'm not sure about that, Commissioner. I've seen different things on that. I think you could have a smaller home have lower usage. You could have a larger home that's maybe not well insulated have higher usage. I would say a couple things. I know Witness Pearson commented on, even as a result of this rate case, will still be below national average. And when I think about rate designs, what we try to do is give customers more choice and more control. So we've worked over the last rate case plus this one to design our rates to allow customers to modify their consumption if they're interested in doing so and able to do so, to shift that around and avoid peak times on the grid. And that will help drive down their cost and also cost for all of their customers by reducing that pressure on the grid at those peak times. So I would say we have several time of use rates that are available. We also have a wide portfolio of energy efficiency options for customers. So those are the things for those customers that you're referencing. I would encourage them to take advantage of the opportunities the company presents through different rate designs and different programs.
Yes, sir. All true. And on top of all of that, the company is giving $1.5 million a year through the CARES program that benefits high usage users more than those that use less, right?
As a result of the stipulation, the shareholders are contributing $1.5 million over 2 years through the CARE rider, and it is volumetric, as you said.
Right. Okay. To me, that seems, now again, that's why I want to check with you, make sure I'm not misreading it. That's nothing. We couldn't order you all to do that, right?
That is my understanding as a result of the stipulation.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Any further questions? Thank you both. Any redirect?
Sorry, Chair, no redirect.
All right.
Chair Powers, we would ask that if the commission's finished with their question, that Mr. Byrd and Ms. Ward be excused.
Got it.
Subject to your warnings.
Thank you.
Chair, at this time, the company calls Mr. Mike Callahan and Mr. Jim Coyne. Thank you.
Would you please raise your right hands to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you'll give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Callahan, I'm going to start with you. Please state your name and business address for the record.
Michael P. Callahan. My business address is 525 South Church Street, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28202.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Duke Energy Business Services, or DEBS, as Senior Vice President and Treasurer.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 19 pages that was previously filed with this commission on June 12th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your direct testimony?
No, I did not.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I ask that Mr. Callahan's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony, Mr. Callahan, will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. And welcome back.
It's good to be here.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 40 pages that was filed with this commission on October 7th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your rebuttal testimony?
Yes, I did.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared and pre-filed with your rebuttal testimony on October 7th, 2025, Callahan rebuttal exhibits 1 through 6?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes to your exhibits?
No, I do not.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move that Mr. Callahan's pre-filed rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. I also move that Mr. Callahan's rebuttal exhibits 1 through 6 be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony of Mr. Callahan will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand. The pre-filed exhibits, rebuttal exhibits of witness Callahan identified as Callahan rebuttal 1 through 6 are marked for identification and are placed in the record as exhibit number 15.
Mr. Callahan, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision settlement testimony consisting of 6 pages that was filed with this commission on October 27th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
No, I do not.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes, they would.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move that Mr. Callahan's pre-filed settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed settlement testimony of Mr. Callahan will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Coyne, please state your full name and business address for the record.
My name is James M. Coyne. My business address is 293 Boston Post Road West, Suite 500, Marlborough, Massachusetts, 01752.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
I'm employed by Concentric Energy Advisors as a senior vice president.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision direct testimony consisting of 71 pages that was previously filed with this commission on June 12th, 2025?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed direct testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your direct testimony?
Yes.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared and pre-filed with your direct testimony on June 12th, 2025, COIN direct exhibits 1 through 4, COIN direct exhibits 5.1 through 5.3, and COIN direct exhibits 6 through 12?
Yes.
Do you have any changes to your exhibits?
Yes, I have one. Regarding COIN Direct Exhibit 5.3, pages 1 through 5, the word historical should be replaced with the word forward for all charts such that the corrected titles read forward market risk premium.
Mr. Chairman, at your pleasure, I do have copies, a red line of that, and I can give it to the court reporter at that time.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move that Mr. Coyne's pre-filed direct testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed direct testimony of Mr. Coyne will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
I also move that Mr. Coyne's exhibits 1 through 4, 5.1 through 5.2, exhibit 5.3 as corrected by the from testimony from the stand, and exhibits 6 through 12 be marked and entered into the record.
The pre-filed direct exhibits of witness coin identified as exhibits 1 through 5, and with the exception to correction of 5.3 as well, and exhibits 6 through 12 are entered into the record as exhibit number 16.
Mr. Coyne, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision rebuttal testimony consisting of 97 pages that was previously filed with this commission on October 7th, 2025?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed rebuttal testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Did you pre-file any exhibits in conjunction with your rebuttal testimony?
Yes.
Did you prepare or cause to be prepared and pre-filed with your rebuttal testimony on October 7th, 2025, coin rebuttal exhibits 1 through 3, coin rebuttal exhibits 4.1 through 4.3, and coin rebuttal exhibits 5 through 9?
Yes.
Do you have any changes to your exhibits?
No.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move that Mr. Coyne's pre-filed rebuttal testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed rebuttal testimony, Mr. Coyne, will be entered in the record as if given orally from the stand.
I also move that Mr. Coyne's rebuttal exhibits 1 through 3, 4.1 through 4.3, and 5 through 9 be marked and entered into the record.
All right, the rebuttal exhibits of Mr. Coyne as identified will be entered into the record as exhibit number 17.
Mr. Coyne, did you prepare or cause to be prepared under your supervision settlement testimony consisting of 5 pages that was filed with this commission on October 27th, 2025 in this docket?
Yes.
Do you have any changes or additions to your pre-filed settlement testimony?
No.
If I asked you the same questions, would your answers be the same?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I move that Mr. Coyne's pre-filed settlement testimony be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
The pre-filed settlement testimony of Mr. Coyne will be entered into the record as if given orally from the stand.
Mr. Callahan, have you prepared a summary of your testimony?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And Mr. Coyne, have you prepared a summary of your testimony?
Yes, I have.
Mr. Callahan, would you please provide your summary at this time?
Chair Powers, Vice Chair Williams, members of the commission. My name is Michael Callahan, and I am the Senior Vice President and Treasurer for Duke Energy Business Services, LLC, which provides various administrative and other services to Duke Energy Progress, LLC, which I will refer to as DEP or the company. It is a pleasure to be back in South Carolina and appear before this commission again today. In my current position, I am responsible for Treasury-related services to Duke Energy Corporation and its subsidiaries, including DEP. I monitor trends in the capital markets and maintain key relationships with debt investors, analysts, financial institutions. I also manage Duke Energy and its subsidiaries' credit ratings and interactions with major credit rating agencies, commercial banks, and the capital markets. My direct testimony in this proceeding addressed DEP's financial objectives, capital structure, and cost of capital. I discussed the current credit ratings and forecasted capital needs of DEP, and I explained why maintaining strong credit quality and access to capital is essential to DEP's ability to finance the infrastructure investments needed to support economic growth, modernize the grid, and provide safe, reliable, and affordable electric service. To ensure reliable and cost-effective service, and to fulfill its obligations to serve customers, the company must continuously plan and execute major capital projects. DEP must therefore appeal to debt and Duke Energy's equity investors to attract the capital it needs. Throughout my direct testimony, I emphasize that DEP's continued ability to meet its financial objectives is in the best interest of customers because it allows the company to fund critical investments in generation, transmission, and distribution infrastructure by attracting capital at reasonable terms for the benefit of its customers. While I filed rebuttal testimony on October 7th, 2025, the issues I addressed have been resolved in the revenue requirement stipulation. In my settlement testimony, I support the 53% to 47% equity to debt capital structure and 9.99% ROE, which are reasonable and appropriate when viewed in the context of the overall revenue requirement stipulation. The terms of the revenue requirement stipulation, including the proposed capital structure and ROE, will provide DEP the opportunity to maintain its financial health and credit rating to the benefit of the company and its customers. The revenue requirement stipulation demonstrates the company's ability to recover prudently incurred costs and resolve issues of the base rate proceeding with the ORS and other interveners through settlement. I believe the revenue requirement stipulation demonstrates to the rating agencies the company's ability to effectively manage regulatory risk within a constructive regulatory environment and ultimately supports the company's ability to achieve its financial objectives. I conclude that the stipulations are a constructive resolution of all issues in this proceeding, are in the public interest, and I respectfully request the Commission approve them.
Mr. Coyne, if you would provide your summary at this time. Thank you.
Chair Powers, Vice Chair Williams, and members of the Commission, good afternoon. My name is James Coyne. I'm a Senior Vice President with Concentric Energy Advisors, and I have over 40 years of experience in energy industry and consulting, corporate planning, and in regulatory and policy positions for the states of Maine and Massachusetts. I have testified on numerous occasions before state, federal, and provincial regulatory commissions in the U.S. and in Canada on matters pertaining to the cost of capital for regulated utilities, including electric and natural gas utilities, transmission companies, and pipelines. The purpose of my direct testimony was to present evidence and provide a recommendation for Duke Energy Progress, or DEP. Its return on equity, or ROE. My direct testimony also discussed the company's capital structure in comparison to the proxy group companies supporting my analysis. The electric utility proxy group was selected to reflect comparable companies in terms of business and financial risks. I estimated DEP's ROE based on the results from 4 models commonly used for these purposes. Those are the discounted cash flow model, or the DCF, the capital asset pricing model, or the CAPM, the bond yield plus risk premium model, and the expected earnings model. I use model inputs based on market data as of April 30th, 2025, both current and forecast from reputable third-party sources. In my direct testimony, these models produced a 4-model average of 11.02%, or 11.12% with 10 basis points for flotation costs, within a range of 10.53% to 11.77%. I identified risk factors that indicate that DEP is above average risk. Based on my model results and considering the company's specific risk profile, I recommended an ROE of 10.85%, which is a conservative estimate of my judgment of the required ROE given the company's risk profile and current economic and capital market conditions. Regarding the capital structure, DEP proposed a financial capital structure consisting of 53% common equity and 47% long-term debt. I supported DEP's proposed financial capital structure as reasonable relative to the range of capital structures for the operating companies held by the proxy group companies that I used in my analysis. I filed rebuttal testimony on October 7th, 2025, and subsequently the parties reached agreement effectively resolving all the contested issues in this proceeding through three stipulations. My settlement testimony provides my opinion on the revenue requirement stipulation as it relates to the appropriate ROE and capital structure for DEP. I understand the 3 stipulations, when considered together, are comprehensive as to the parties and issues, with all parties either indicating support for or lack of opposition to the stipulations, and that the company has determined that the terms of the revenue requirement stipulation, including the agreed upon ROE and common equity ratio, would be viewed by the credit rating agencies as constructive and equitable. I understand and respect that determination and support the stipulated ROE on that basis. The 9.9% ROE is 39 basis points, or 0.39% higher than the Commission's last authorized return of 9.6% for debt. This increase is directionally consistent with the yields on long-term government bond yields, which have increased by nearly 100 basis points since the company's last rate case was decided in March of 2023. On balance, in my opinion, the proposed 9.9% ROE, coupled with a 53% common equity ratio, is supported by the evidence on record and would provide DEP a fair and reasonable allowed return on equity in the context of the broader settlement framework. That concludes my opening statement, and I welcome any questions you may have.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, the witnesses are available for any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Commissioner questions?
Chair Powers. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So there's a lot been going on in South Carolina legislatively wise over the last year or two, and particularly as it relates to utilities. And I think you've been very, very well informed and perhaps involved in some of the testimony that was that you provided over at the State House. Is that correct, Mr. Callahan?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, very good. So, generally speaking, do you believe that Act 41 reduces risk to the utility companies or increases risk in the way that the rating agencies would look at that?
I think from a rating agency perspective, there are certainly elements to that framework, the Energy Security Act, that do potentially reduce risk. I think what the Energy Security Act in a lot of ways looked at was, what do we need to do to continue to move the state forward, right? We have a long and proud history of strong economic development in this state. And in order to continue to do that, we need to ensure that we have a reliable and resilient grid. But increasingly, we were seeing the need for new generation in the state as well. And so I think the nod to the fact that there is a need for utilities to continue growing the infrastructure in the state, I think, is well received by the rating agencies overall. But with that, of course, comes increased risk that there are substantial projects that will have to be developed to meet the needs of the state, whether that's, new gas generation that we have underway, or as you look out ahead, the potential for things like new nuclear.
And just given the overall high-level look at the Act 41, can you name some items specifically that the rating agencies are looking favorably on in terms of the risks to the company?
I think that they look to overall, as I mentioned, just sort of a nod to the environment. There are aspects of the Act 41, like the potential use of the ERSA, which could be helpful to reduce some forms of regulatory lag. My understanding of that in the final legislation was there was a cap on that for new generation of 250 megawatts. So, there are certain significant infrastructure investments that may not apply to that, but that would be one particular area that I think that they would look to favorably as potentially reducing some regulatory risk.
Okay. And just looking at the company and the two state operations, so what is the current approved allowed ROE for Duke Energy Progress in North Carolina?
The currently approved ROE for Duke Energy Progress North Carolina is 9.8%.
Okay, and how about DEC?
DEC North Carolina?
Yes, sir.
DEC North Carolina is 10.1%.
Okay. And so with all of the activity going on and potential new investments and plants and grid improvement, whatever, is the company looking to issue equity in the next year or so?
So we do have, when I think about that, you're talking at the Duke Energy holding company level, issuing external equity. When I think about our overall capital plan and capital needs as an enterprise, we do have significant amount of equity that we plan to raise in the markets. We've recently also done some things like selling our Nashville operations under Piedmont Natural Gas, which helps to raise and will be utilized in part towards that equity need. But yes, over the next 5 years, we will absolutely be issuing equity to help fund the substantial investments that we're seeing really across all of our utilities.
Okay. Mr. Carmen, so in your models, you use, as one of the models, you use the expected earnings approach. Is that correct?
Yes, Commissioner.
And that one is generally not favored by FERC, is my understanding at this point, and generally speaking, it's somewhat out of favor. Would you agree with that?
I'd say that is correct. Based on FERC's most recent rulings on these matters, the risk premium model and the expected earnings models have been deemed by FERC to be up to the analyst or presenter to the FERC to make the case as to why they should be used as opposed to being default models. So they haven't ruled them out altogether, but I think they've raised the threshold of proof in terms of coming back before the FERC to explain why they are beneficial. I personally believe they are beneficial, and I've submitted evidence to the FERC on these issues, but we've yet to hear back from the FERC in terms of its generic ruling on these cost of capital matters. And one of the reasons that I think they're beneficial is that, as we have seen over the last few years specifically, a lot of volatility in capital markets, and that volatility directly impacts the results of the CAPM and the DCF more so than it does the expected earnings or the risk premium models. So I like the stability that they provide to the CAPM and DCF that can be whipsawed by capital market conditions. And I've made that case to the FERC, and I'm hopeful that that door remains open, but your characterization is correct as to where we currently stand.
And so generally you're supporting the stipulation settlement, and particularly the proposed capital structure and rate of return. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
All right. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any further commissioner questions?
All right, Powers.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Callahan, it is good to see you again.
It's good to see you as well, Commissioner.
Familiar faces are handy in this environment.
Well, it's good to be back home.
On your last page of your settlement testimony, you talk about strong credit ratings result in lower debt costs for our customers and greater assurance of access to capital even in challenging market conditions. Does that sound right?
That sounds correct.
Does that have any play in pushing customer costs down, in impacting cost to customers?
I think there's no question that having strong credit ratings and allowing us to access capital in all markets on reasonable terms is beneficial to customers and helps us keep our costs down. When I think about, for example, my group, the Treasury team, and when we go to the capital markets, specifically the debt capital markets, to do a deal, and you may recall this from the discussion in the Duke Energy Carolinas case last year when Chris Bauer talked about sort of the winning playbook that we use is to take one big issuance to the capital markets each year for these utilities. So Duke Energy Progress, earlier this year, we did a $2.1 billion debt issuance, and that was spread across, some of it was 10-year debt, some of it was 30-year debt. We even included some 2-year debt in that to blend in and ultimately drive demand for those bonds, which lowers costs for customers. And the strong credit ratings is how we do that. You know, as an enterprise, and really the industry, regulated utilities operate from a free cash flow negative basis, right? We are spending more investing in the system than we are bringing in from customers. And that's the way that the model is designed, that we attract capital from investors and customers effectively return that capital to investors over time. And that model works incredibly well. But yes, I think that there's no question that having strong credit ratings, which has allowed us to access capital on reasonable terms for our customers, absolutely benefits them.
Thank you. And Mr. Coyne, have you reviewed witness Baldino's testimony?
I have.
Okay. On page 11, he states that and this should tell me if this is not familiar. On page 11, he states that for 2024, the average authorized ROE for vertically integrated electric utilities was 9.84% and 9.74% for the first 6 months of 2025. This settlement agreement is 25 basis points higher than the 2025 average. How does that make sense to you?
Good question. A couple of perspectives there that I could offer. One is that, of course, these are averages for, I like the fact that at least it's vertically integrated. So you have companies like Duke that has generation, and generally speaking, generation is riskier than companies that are those that are just T&D. But it's also, there are two additional points that should be borne in mind. One is that even though these are set in 2024 and 2025, inevitably there's a lag in the data that's in these decisions and the forward look that we try to take when we're determining the cost of capital. So the analysis that I presented is based on both current and as updated in my rebuttal testimony, it would indicate using those four models an average of 11.26%. So one could quibble about how different experts go about getting to the numbers they do. I think we can all recognize that. But the trend has been towards a higher cost of capital in all segments of the market, even for those of us that are going out to get mortgages for houses and things of that nature. So the trend has been up. So there's always a lag between decisions and the data that goes into them and where we are today and trying to look forward to set the cost of capital. Excuse me. The other factor is, of course, that in this case, we're setting the cost of capital for debt, which has its own unique operating profile that differ from these other companies. And as I point out in my direct and rebuttal testimonies, Duke is unique because of the level of its capital spending in relationship to its existing rate base, which makes it riskier. It's a nuclear generator. Not all the companies in these vertically integrated decisions are nuclear operators. That in general is greater risk. And also the storm risk associated with the service area that's not present in all these other companies. So in my view, this difference between the 9.9 and the settlement and the 9.84, the 9.74 is quite nominal, given those differences in risk between that group and how I see DEP.
And then Walmart's witness, Steve Chris, are you familiar with that testimony?
Yes.
And I see your attorney is ready to help
Well,
you.
I was going to make sure that he has copies of this testimony. Okay, I just wanted to make sure you did, Mr. Coyne.
I do, thank you. I'll break it open if it requires it.
Okay. What it really requires is some special reading glasses, because I'm going to refer to figure 1. And what...
And what page are you on, just so I can look on with you?
11.
Okay. Let's see if I can get there with you. Oh, yes. Okay.
I don't think you'll have to, you'll need those special reading glasses for this question. But I wanted you to reflect on the fact that with the settlement ROE at 9.99, that still puts, and these are, I believe, all vertically integrated utilities, that still puts Duke Energy Progress's numbers. I think I counted 10 companies that had higher ROEs, and everyone else would have a lower ROE. And I think that his work is 2023 to present. So given that chart, given that perspective of where Duke Energy Progress's settlement ROE is identified, how would you defend the 9.99 in this bigger, broader perspective?
Sure. The points I just made are relevant here because we're looking at the same data. So we need to consider the timing of these decisions. There's still a lag there. Capital costs are going up, and DEP has its own operating profile and a different risk profile than these others. And you can see the range here is from, visually it looks like it's from somewhere around 9.5 to up to 11.5% or in that range. You know, based on the analysis that I've done on a forward-looking basis, in my rebuttal testimony, I come to an 11.26% is the average of my 4 models, and 11.12% in my direct testimony. So I think all of these are conservative based on where we stand in current capital markets. But let me give you just 2 data points that might be relevant in this region to consider, both cases where I have been involved. One is Georgia Power, which recently rolled over its prior 3-year rate settlement, and it's rolling over a 10.5% ROE on a 56% equity ratio. In Florida Power and Light, there is a pending settlement there, which has not been approved by the Commission, but we just finished 2 weeks of arduous hearings around the settlement. And there, the proposed settlement, where 13 of 18 parties have supported the settlement, the proposed settlement is for a 10.95% ROE on a 59.6% equity ratio. And in that case, there is also a mechanism where it has a plus or minus 100 basis point band, earnings band around that 10.95%. And they have a mechanism that would, if approved, would roll over to that was similar to a prior mechanism in its prior case called an RSAM. And what it does is it allows the company to earn up to 100 basis points over that 10.95% using a non-cash mechanism that's sourced by an excess tax balance on the balance sheet of the company. So FPL under this settlement, if approved, could earn up to 11.95% over the next 4 years, and Georgia Power also has an earnings band around its 10.5%. So you can see that these are 2 companies that both have storm exposure. They're both nuclear operators. They're both in this region. To me, I think if you compare this proposed settlement of 9.99 9.9% on a 53% equity ratio, it certainly looked like a very good value for customers in relation to others that have been or are pending in the region.
I'm glad I asked, and I'm glad I listened. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. Any further commissioner questions?
Chair Powers.
Commissioner Thomas.
Just a couple of follow-ups, please. So a lot of discussion here about the nuclear and risk associated with that. So Mr. Callahan, is that something that the rating agencies have communicated to you that they're concerned about?
I would say that it's not necessarily something that I would say that they're concerned about. I think that they know that we are strong operators and have a long, proud history of operating nuclear, but they do recognize it overall as a risk factor. For example, it's a part of their ESG framework, and they specifically call out, nuclear as being higher risk than fossil risk, for example. So yes, it is a factor in their rating. I think they're comfortable with how we manage it.
Okay. And additionally, South Carolina had some changes to the storm securitization laws this past year. Is that anything that the rating agencies have commented on, either favorably or negatively?
Yeah, the securitization statute is something that I think the rating agencies certainly see as a very useful tool for us, right? It has allowed us to recover our costs on a timely basis. There is still some time lag between when a storm happens and when we ultimately recover those costs. For example, Helene, we just passed the 1-year anniversary of that. Our sister utility, Duke Energy Carolinas, is getting ready to go to market with the securitization of those storms. So that was on a very aggressive timeline. In fact, the General Assembly made some changes to the statute to help us shorten that time period because the previous securitization we had done for Duke Energy Progress, you might recall, for Florence, Michael, Matthew, some of those storms, that took about 18 months. So yes, it's a very useful tool. It does help us ensure that we can recover our costs. It's actually, as we talk about storms, one of the key things that I think is a part of this overall framework in this particular case is the increase in storm funding and the storm reserve, which I also think that they will view favorably.
All right. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any further commissioner questions? Ms. Edwards, any redirect? I can't see you behind that podium.
No, I'm a little too short. No redirect. And at the risk of falling in the footsteps of my predecessors, I would ask if Mr. Callahan and Mr. Coyne may be excused. I understand it may be at their own risk or our risk.
At your risk.
At my risk. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to take a lunch break now. This is taking longer than I anticipated. Could you all be back by 2:15 and we'll proceed? We're in recess.